Well, good afternoon, everybody. I just want to make a few comments. There's just been so much in the news, at least our local news here in Franklin, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, about critical race theory. And we do have a podcast, if you look back on it, with Dr. David Dark, where we do address this more at length. But, I don't get it. I don't get the controversy around this. It is a theory, first of all, but it is also a way of explaining the systemic racism that we still have in our country. Our country was set up to oppress certain people, and that's just a fact of history. And if we don't like that, then we're not really being honest with ourselves. And growing up in the South, like I did, I was born and raised in Tennessee and went to both public schools and private schools. And when we were taught about slavery in public and private schools, it was usually just kind of a glancing nod at it and said it was horrible. We're glad it's over with. But, for the most part, plantations were very civil places, and slaves were treated well, and it was almost like a good thing. And so it was really just kind of sugar-coated and not shown the reality and the horribleness of it all. And then from that, how there's all kinds of things that we're still dealing with when it comes to race and systemic racism that goes back to the founding of our country, and how we had slavery for so many years. And teaching that ugly side of our history is a good thing, because it will repeat it. I hear people giving arguments about, well, they don't want their white kids, feeling guilty for being white. And I can understand that. I don't think anyone should feel guilty solely based on the color of their skin. But I do think, as a white person, that when I hear these stories and I hear the present day even experiences of my African American brothers and sisters, as well as my Native American brothers and sisters, I should sit with that uncomfortableness for a while. I shouldn't just run away from it and complain that you're making me feel bad. I should sit with it a while, knowing that while I may not be personally responsible for things that happened in the past, I have benefited from that. And so instead of just rushing through that or saying I don't want to talk about this anymore, or trying to shut down the conversation, it's good for me to sit in that uncomfortableness and look inside my own heart and see if there is places that I need to repent and where I need to repair these relationships. And basically all critical race theory is saying is that there is inequality throughout our entire system that is based on race. You could also have critical feminist theory, critical poverty theory, critical homosexuality theory, that there are certain ways that a culture runs, and the cultural norms are based on the majority or the dominant group. And when you're outside of that dominant group, then you're going to experience difficulties from time to time. And the more that you are on the outside of that dominant group, in other words, this is intersectionality. And so if you're a minority, but you're also female, and you're Muslim, and you're in poverty, well, that's three or four different things that intersect that make you more and more on the margins and make life more and more difficult for you than if you were a white, male, Protestant, upper middle class to upper class. That's just the way it is. It doesn't say that critical race theory is not saying that everything is your fault if you're a white person. All it is saying is based on our history, and you can look at all the demographics based on our history. There is systemic racism, and people are treated a certain way, or they have been in the past, because of the color of their skin. And because it is so ingrained in our system, then there are still those things that happen today, be it income wage, be it penalties when people get arrested, what the length of time you get, whether or not you get bail, when it comes to getting home loans or business loans, all those kind of things. There is something in the system that discriminates against people of color. And so if you're a white person and when people talk about this, you feel guilty, well, examine your own heart. And if your own heart is pure, then you know what? Just sit with that uncomfortable for a while. Think about how you can help make things better. But don't just try to silence people and say we shouldn't be teaching this in our schools because it makes you uncomfortable. It is good to be made uncomfortable and to sit with that uncomfortableness and to ask yourself the tough questions. That is a good thing to do. And so all this criticism against critical race theory is doing nothing to make things better and is only proving the point of those who are trying to say there's systemic racism going on in our society. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and contact me if you got any questions, concerns, critiques, compliments, whatever it may be. And go Grizzlies. They play San Antonio Spurs tonight in a playoff game or a play-in game to get to the NBA playoffs. Have a good day.